just sting out. Everybody ready down there? Supervisors? Camera? Call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. This meeting is being recorded live for CNET's YouTube channel. First thing up, public comments. Does anybody have any comments they wish to announce to the board for anything on or off the agenda?
Karen Miller.
We know you.
Yeah, I know you know me. I know I asked a couple months ago again about whether or not any of the supervisors are getting together with the other municipalities in town and borough and talking about how we come to any kind of agreement to support our emergency services. Has anybody done anything?
I haven't done anything with them. I will tell you that we are planning on, we're talking about possibly releasing additional funds, ARPA money and such, but the board has to discuss how we want to divvy that up.
Okay, and again, I heard a rumor, and it's purely a rumor, but I'd like to know, is there, Ron, I heard that you had contacted Alpha Fire Company, that you're trying to get them to become our fire company. I think
To what? To do what?
to become the coverage for our fire company, instead of Port Matilda Fire Company.
And that's not true.
Well, that's what I'm asking. It was a rumor that I heard, and
That's
I'm just
just a
wondering.
rumor. Yep.
It's a rumor?
Yes, it
So
is.
you didn't send a letter?
I just
or-
said I didn't.
Okay, that's all I was asking.
Okay.
Thank you. All right.
Anyone else? Going once, going twice? Yes, sir.
Dan Hughes. It's in reference to the agreement of the Port Matilda Fire Company with the township,
Okay.
and also in coordination of that with the Halfmoon Valley Bald Eagle COG. The Bald Eagle COG agreement says that no one can enter into a contract with any other entity without coordinating it with the Bald Eagle COG. I was wondering if that has happened.
Well, I'm the COG representative from the township, and I'm not sure. I
Well,
understand what
have you told them what this agreement is for the Port Matilda Fire Company that you're talking about?
The agreements that are in the agenda, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have these.
Who, COG does?
The COG does, the fire company, as far as I know, the fire company does.
Our company has them. It came up at one of the COG meetings. It might have been 2 or 3 meetings ago. It was on the agenda.
I mean, the COG agreement,
No, the Halfmoon Township agreement with the fire company.
okay.
Has that agreement been talked to the COG about? Have you talked to the COG with it?
Does the COG need to approve it, is
Yeah.
what you're saying?
In
Does the
other words-
COG need to approve an agreement between the
Yes.
township and the fire company? No. They're separate things.
But
This is an expenditure agreement between the township and the fire company.
But there are performance requirements in the agreement that you're talking about, and the amount of money they get from the Bald Eagle COG will affect that.
No, the money that they get from us will affect the COG. It's not the other way around. We allocate money to the fire companies, okay? We, the township board, allocates money to
No,
the
you have
fire company.
you have performance requirements in your agreement, right?
Performance requirements in which agreement?
You're providing performance agreements to the fire company that they have to perform in order to maintain that contract.
Oh, I'm sure there are contractual requirements for us to allocate money to them.
Okay.
Okay.
Since you're not giving them the full amount of money,
Well, now you're making a statement now. That's not necessarily, that's your opinion.
no, I've seen the budgets. I've seen what you provide compared to what the total municipalities provide. It's not, it's
Again,
not,
that's a matter of opinion on your part. We allocated money in our budget for this year. We do it every year. We decided on an amount, we, the board, decided on an amount to allocate to Port Matilda, to Warriors Mark, and to the EMS service.
what I'm saying is that you are not providing the full funding for the fire company. So your performance requirements, which are 24/7, seem to be far in excess of what you're providing.
Again, that's a matter of your opinion. We believe we are providing sufficient funding to the fire company, to both fire companies.
Is that the agreement of all the supervisors?
Well, not necessarily. Now, remember how we vote. We don't vote only on unanimity. We vote on majority. So the last time I recall, though, Amy would have to look into the records to see how we voted on this budget for 2024. We have not yet assembled a budget for 2025. That's something that yet needs to be done, and that's our budgeting process into October. But I don't quite understand. We allocated money last year for 2024 to Port Matilda, to Warriors Mark, and to the EMS.
And Alpha.
And we provided some funding to Alpha and to Center Lifelink, because they do provide coverage in the township.
Well,
Mr. Chair.
the way I read this, it's, you are making requirements on the fire company based on this contract that are beyond the amount of funding that the fire company is receiving.
I just answered your question.
I believe what, if I interpret what Dan's trying to say correctly, is that the entire municipal budget that the fire company asked for in their budget wasn't met by all the COG members together, did not meet what was asked for. So if we did not meet what was asked for, then but then we're requiring 24/7 sufficient personnel, all the apparatus, all this stuff here in this paragraph, and that they have to have the reasonable operations and equipment and all that stuff. I think that's what his point is. How can we put this in the contract requiring all this if their budget's not being met by the municipalities? Is that?
Yeah, that in the fact that no one is sure that the COG is going to provide, the other
Right,
municipalities
because we can't
will
speak for
provide
them as a
funds.
township, but only the COG, yes.
Yes.
When I guess we have 5 problems then. Because there's 5 municipalities that fund that fire
That's why
company.
I'm asking why there isn't a coordination between these agreements.
You ever try to herd cats?
Huh?
You ever try to herd cats?
Yeah, I'm here. So I think that you need to coordinate it between the COG, and I don't think anybody should be signing the contracts, either the new revised COG, unless that meeting has been met.
Well, I think some of the challenges of having a agreement that is in agreement with all of the 5 municipalities is going to be a challenge, kind of like what Dave said, herding cats. Whereas if we can get forth our agreement with the fire company, we've at least done our share. And then hopefully the individual townships, the remaining 4, will follow suit.
Well, hope is not a contract.
Well,
I understand that, but we unfortunately cannot determine what the other 4 townships will do.
They may not give us anything.
Right, and so, I mean, if we try to have an agreement that has all 5 municipalities in agreement, we're probably never gonna get there, you know? And whereas, at least with Halfmoon Township, we can move forward to have an agreement with the fire company so that they know the level of funding based on mills that they're gonna get from Halfmoon. So we can at least do our 1/5 of the share.
well, let me just add something. there's a difference between budget and funding. But the budget for the fire company, like any fire company, is the sum total of all revenue received. It's not just municipal funding. Okay, their budget cannot be based just on our municipal funding or the municipal funding of the 5 municipalities. There's other components of revenue, of funding,
Like what?
that have to be included. The fundraising, grants, donations, what have you. It all, insurance reimbursements, any sources of revenue that the fire companies receive is funding. And a budget has to match the funding. Okay, you can't there can't be a disparity. We would like to have this much, but we only get this much. So that means you guys aren't giving us enough. That's not the truth of it. The truth of it is you have to temper your budget with your resources available. Okay, now we can do our best to try to help funding, but we're one of 5 entities that fund the fire company, and we're not and the municipalities are not the only sources of funding. There are other sources of funding that also need to be considered. And this is the problem's made more difficult by the fact that they separate their sources of funding. Whereas Mark doesn't do that.
Of budgets is you provide a budget
I look at their budgets and their expenditure every month, and not just once a month either. Now, when you're developing a budget, who do you present the budget to? You present it to all sources of revenue. There's more than one source of revenue with the fire company. So you have to present a budget to all those sources of revenue and make that comparison. You can't just isolate one group of people and say, well, you're not giving us enough money.
the budget that they provide you has all those sources in it.
No, it doesn't, actually.
Yes, it does.
Not the one that's presented to me, or that was presented last year.
It was.
They separate their sources of funding.
It was provided, wasn't it?
You're both right. It was provided, but it wasn't provided, what Ron's referring to is what I would call a summary budget. It's stands yay by yay, and it's one chart and everything's listed. They actually like to separate their fundraiser into its own budget, their fireman's relief into one. It's basically style and format. So based on what I'm hearing, you're both right, just in different ways.
But you can't spend discretionary in one category and spend all your other necessary categories in one category. You have to combine them. You have to combine your revenue in order to make it work. It'll never work otherwise.
I can tell you the agreement, at least with Port Matilda, came up because I did reach out to the other Upper Baldy Club members. Probably the spring of last year, they were not interested in a multi-municipal agreement. They openly said that through email, they were not interested.
Okay,
Things
so,
may have changed. I can't speak for the board if they're interested.
well,
But that is how we are to where we're at today. We are just trying to get an agreement of some kind.
I know you're not happy with it, but on the other hand, you have to look at it this way. If there's no performance standard in there,
well,
then they'll just stay over this other side of the hill and they won't come over.
yeah.
Why bother?
Then how can you enforce it?
This sets up so
How
that
do
they
you
get additional
provide a-
funds well, there's no point in arguing that. We're gonna let the board discuss it, but thank you. Anybody else? Okay, moving on. Approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of July 11th, 2024?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, consent agenda. Ratification of the bills list for 7/06/24 to 7/23/24. In the general fund, $27,848.70. Open space preservation, $87,195.74. Ratification of the bills list for the period of 7/24/24 through 8/05/24. General fund, the amount of $302,177.32. Appoint Brett Laird as the alternate open records officer and transfer $75,000 from the open space preservation fund to the open space preservation money market. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next up, Armstrong subdivision, Armstrong-Hafer subdivision, final plan. First on the agenda is the July 11th, 2024 plan set. Is our planner here?
He's on Zoom.
He's on Zoom. Somewhere.
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, welcome.
It's a very easy two-lot subdivision right off of 550, and I believe Miss Henry's here. She can handle that, and then I can answer any questions if anybody has any.
Do you have the plan? Maybe? I believe all of you have seen this plan previously. All comments have been addressed, highway occupancy permits have been issued. Planning module has been signed by Corey and the planning commission and the zoning officer. And we are ready to have the board of supervisors approve the plan and module. We are requesting two waivers. One for fire protection and one for open space,
Parkland.
or parkland, I'm sorry.
Parkland dedication.
Right, parkland dedication and fee in lieu of.
Amy, where are we at with the ordinance changes with the fire protection?
They will be at the planning commission for this month, and then they will come back to the board to send to the Center Region Planning Agency for the required review that they do, and then they will go to the solicitor.
Okay, so everything looks like it's gonna go through as planned.
As
mean,
far as I
we're-
know, yeah.
Nothing that we're aware of now that could be an issue. Okay.
Not that I know, no.
I hear a motion to grant the waiver for the sprinkler requirements.
So moved.
I hear a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I will abstain because I do contract work for the Hendricks. Motion passes. Next up, parkland dedication waiver. Do I hear a motion to waive the parkland dedication requirement?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Also, the fee in lieu of, would that be waived?
That would all be under the same deal, same ordinance.
Okay.
It's an either or.
Yep. All right, call. We do that? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain, same reason. Motion passes. Let me see here. Now we got the plan in front of us. Corey, you got anything to say on the plan itself?
Now, all the comments that staff originally had and the planning commission had been corrected. It's a pretty straightforward plan, and staff recommends approval.
Okay. This will be Resolution 2024-15 for the Armstrong-Hafer Component 2 Sewage Planning Module. Do I hear a motion to approve the sewage planning module?
So moved.
Wait, Dave, can you go back and approve the plan?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to approve the plan until we get the module done. The module should be before the plan.
Okay.
Because the plan's going to be conditionally approved.
The
Okay.
module is a component one.
It's
Okay.
component one?
Yes.
That's my mistake,
Okay.
Patty, or Kathy.
I saw it 2 years.
Yep, that's me.
You should do the sewage module first, because without having the approved module, you can't do the plan.
Okay.
But the plan's gonna have to be conditional upon the module passing DEP.
Okay.
So, all right, this is Resolution 2024-15. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution?
I move to approve it.
Do I hear a second? Second. Moved and second. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I'll abstain for the aforesaid reason. Okay, next up would be the approval of the subdivision plan itself. This would have to be a conditional approval upon the DEP returning approval on the sewage module.
So moved.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right. So we got a motion to approve the plan conditionally.
So
Second,
moved.
I have a question.
Well, do we have a second, Danner?
yes.
Okay, moved and seconded. Go ahead.
Does the board want me to add 2 additional notes to the plan indicating that the board granted the waivers tonight for parkland and fire protection?
Do you need to?
No?
I think we
I
should.
think it should be
Yes.
done.
I
Yes,
think it
should-
would be a
yes.
good idea, and then we won't end up with confusion on it.
That's good.
Yes, and
Okay.
and then it's in the permanent record, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then
Yes.
I'll
I wasn't
second
sure
this.
you did that on a plan.
Well, they had done it on the plan on that other one
Okay.
that we talked about.
It's up to the board as to whether or not they want me to
Yeah.
add those 2 notes.
Once it's on the plan, then it's locked in.
That's
Yes.
fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I have 2 questions.
Sure.
So just for clarification, there's going to be 2 additional driveways that come out onto 550 that have been approved by PennDOT for site distances, correct? And that these are the site distances that
Yes, all
are,
the accesses have been approved by PennDOT.
okay. And then, once these 2 lots are subdivided off, what, excuse me, what is available left on the property for additional development in the future?
Nothing.
Okay, this is the end of it then?
This is the end of it.
Okay,
You
okay,
know, for the Armstrong property.
okay.
There's a note on the plan.
For our
indicating
PD.
that on sheet 1.
Is it on the plan?
Yes.
Okay, I just
on
missed-
sheet 1 of the plan.
Okay.
21 acres remaining approximately.
That sounds about right.
Kathy, correct that. There's actually 3 driveways. One is being relocated.
Right, the current one's gonna be
Okay.
closed off and just moved down, there's kind of an
That's correct.
opening now, right, and that's where it's gonna
So-
be,
So if you do see 3 driveways
there's
going in,
2.
you're gonna
and then
know
the 2
one of
additionals for
them's
the,
being closed.
right,
Okay.
right, yeah,
Safer site distance.
yeah,
Yeah,
which
that's
I
correct.
agree with,
Yeah.
so, okay, okay.
Okay. All right, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I'll abstain for the aforesaid
I'm
reason.
sorry, who seconded?
Me,
Okay, thank you.
sorry. I think you passed, put the
Yeah,
motion
I
forward,
made
right?
the
Yeah.
notes.
Yep, I got that, I just didn't hear the second, thanks.
Okay, plan conditionally approved. I guess when you get the letter from DEP, just bring it by, we'll come in and sign.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Does this have to be done by resolution? No, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Oh, it's a component 1,
So it doesn't have to be done by resolution?
right.
Okay.
All right, next up, Port Matilda Fire Company agreement. Brett, you're up.
So the original first draft was brought in front of you maybe 2 meetings ago, and you approved sending it to your solicitor. He made some changes. Everyone's been able to take a look at it. This is similar to what we had many years ago as far as an agreement, just with some added changes, upgrades. The financial side of it is the fact that Port Matilda will get a millage rate of .890 annually, which, given the current millage rate, that is the equivalent of $72,889.89 is what the Port Matilda Fire Company will receive from Halfmoon next year.
And that's tied to our assessed value, and that would go up as our assessed value goes up, correct? So it won't be a static figure for the fire company.
More taxes come in.
Correct. Our assessed value tends to grow about 1% a year, give or take.
And their next year value is more than what we gave this year.
Right. What's in here now, the figure I just gave you is based on this June when the school taxes were ran. I will get an updated figure in October. They do their updates handy to September. They go around and reassess everything. That's when we'll know the official number for the 2025 budget.
I hear a motion to approve the agreement.
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moving second. Any discussion by the board?
So I have a question, and I'm gonna follow the question up with some of Dan's concerns in terms of the 24-hour, 7-day a week. And actually, if it's okay, Dan, you know, if there an alternative idea that you have in lieu of the 24/7 statement? Just asking for input.
Since it's a volunteer group, you can't consider them being a corporation and provide performance requirements. What if people can't come and show up because they're working or, you know, it's a volunteer organization.
Right, but isn't that the coverage essentially that we have now? I mean, if we call it 3 in the morning versus 3 p.m.
But that's a condition of any
There's no
volunteer fire.
condition
We're
on
not demanding that they perform X amount of work within a certain amount of time. That's an availability requirement that you would apply to any volunteer fire company. We're not trying to tell them how much work they have to do. It's variable. It changes all the time. There are times where they're not available. And other fire companies have to respond. There's mutual aid requirements that they all depend on interchangeably. So it's not a matter of telling them, you have to perform this amount of time, do all these things all the time, period. That's impossible. You can't ask that of a volunteer fire company. It's saying that, okay, you have to be available 24/7, but that is assuming that they're available. Because like you said, they may not be able to show up. So they depend on mutual aid. We understand that. Everybody should understand that.
That's why we have two other fire companies that we
Volunteer
deal
fire
with.
company works. You know, we'll have a
Ron,
dis-
yes, but I was actually talking to Dan and asking Dan.
we're supposed to be-
I understand that, but I'm talking to a citizen.
I know,
and
but
I'm
we're supposed to
asking-
be having this discussion
All right,
among the
all
board.
right.
And I'm just simply asking a citizen for some input if they had a different idea. And so I'm simply asking
It's a matter of
Dan
order.
that in terms of our current coverage with our fire department, if we call them at 3 a.m. versus 3 p.m., you know, they're gonna respond. If they can, they're gonna respond. That's essentially what we have now with them. Is that not how you see that?
It's a volunteer organization.
Mr. Chair, I have a
Right,
point of
I
order.
agree.
There's a statement in here that they're claiming they're an independent contractor. They're not an independent contractor.
Are you referring to paragraph 6?
No, I'm talking about 15.
15. Oh. And Amy, can I clarify, all this language in red is new and it's from our solicitor?
Yes.
Okay.
Did we get any input from their solicitor on, because they've seen these agreements, that we've kind of bounced back.
Yeah, they
couple
were
times.
sent the agreements, when was it?
Handy to about 2 months ago.
Spring.
After you approved them the first time, they went to them for their solicitor to review. Once they got them back, you guys took a look at them again, and then Tom looked at them, and anything that's in there in red would be Tom's changes.
Okay, so the fire company and their solicitor has not seen what's in red.
Yes, Amy sent them
I-
over
oh, yeah, I
that
sent
way,
them
and they
after-
did not respond.
Yeah, after the solicitor sent them back, I forward them to
Okay.
all the emergency
Yeah, because
services.
it's the same language in all of
Shall we have
them.
a point of
Yeah.
There was going to be a COG meeting on
Tuesday.
And will be this coming Tuesday, we will have another meeting.
It's coming Tuesday.
I haven't seen an announcement on that yet. But I'm sure they would talk to the COG meeting about this agreement.
All right, Amy, when this original contract was sent in, I know our solicitor changed the stuff for 15 and 16 or added those parts, but you have not received any comments back from their attorney or the fire company, correct?
No, correct.
And all three of these contracts are the same, basically, with the exception of one's an ambulance company and the other two are fire companies,
Well, they're
correct?
not, the
There's-
EMS is different than
Yeah, the
fire
EMS is a
company.
little different.
Yeah.
The fire companies are the same, but the EMS
Right,
is.
so we're not asking anything of Port
No.
Matilda that we're not asking of Warriors Mark,
No.
correct?
Correct. Correct.
All right.
Yep, that's
I
exactly
I
right.
don't want to discriminate. I know, I don't think we did,
Well,
so,
that's, we don't either.
right. So, any other discussion by the board? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, contract approved for Port Matilda. Next up, where's Mark Fire Company?
Same thing.
Brett,
It's-
give us the village and the rundown.
I was gonna say, it's the same contract, except where's Mark will be .270 mils, which is the equivalent of $22,112.66 estimated for next year.
Which again is a slight increase over 24.
Correct.
All right, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any,
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. I do want to clarify in the Port Minnesota Fire Company contract.
There is actually a clause that is not in the Warriors Mark, and that is because of the Upper Bald Eagle cog agreement. So there is
That
a
pertains
special
particularly to
clause
that,
pertaining to
right.
that.
Oh, number 18.
Number 18, yep.
okay, thank you. Next up, Port Matilda EMS agreement. Brett?
Same kind of standards, give or take some verbiage changes due to what the EMS offers. They are set for .560 mils, which is $45,863.30, which is again a slight increase over what we're giving this year.
All right. Do I hear a motion to,
So moved.
okay, second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Next up, Resolution 2024-16 is the open records policy. This is, right to know, had to be revised. Brett, you have anything to add to that?
I don't, that's more Amy's expertise, I'm just
It
getting
hasn't been
attached.
revised since 2008.
Yeah, I knew it
So
was
some of the
expired.
officers at the state open records office have changed. They were referenced in the old resolution. They've revised the right to know law, and it's just cleaning it up so it's up to
Nothing
date.
major that we need to
Nothing
be-
major, no.
I know you and I talked about it in the office here about a month ago or so. All right, motion to approve the resolution.
So
So-
moved.
Moved, how about a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Resolution approved. Next big thing, permission to sell the 2002 Sterling. Young Mr. Beck,
Yeah, so I am just recommending to the board that we sell the 2002 Sterling single axle dump truck. This truck is used very little, especially now with the addition of the F600. That moves the F550 into that third plow truck role. So basically just an unused truck.
what do you think we can get for it?
I was looking at it right before I left today, and I mean, I've seen them go anywhere from like 5,000 to 15,000. Honestly, just throwing a number out there, I'm hoping for maybe 10,000. But
I know I haven't talked to you about this, and I just mentioned something to Ron before the meeting. Is there any interest by this board offering it for sale to a neighboring municipality first?
I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah.
good idea.
Just because somebody else might be in need, and I think we could be a little bit flexible on the price.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
And if nobody's interested, we can put it on municipal bid, I guess, so. That way you don't have the whole state
That's-
competing against, let's just say Taylor wants it.
It's completely up to you guys. I'm just,
Or you could do both,
Um,
because it might take a while for them.
I don't want to put it on there if somebody else is interested.
great question.
What townships should we
I will
have
say it's
them
not
do?
Anybody that joins us. Or is in the
Okay.
Yeah, I
upper
mean, is there a
Baltic.
way to
So-
send it out to the rest of the roadmasters in the county?
I'm sure that we can
Is there
reach
regular
out.
serve or something?
There's not, but, I mean, we can certainly find
Just
contact
in
information.
our region,
Right.
yeah.
Does the
Yeah,
hornet's nest
yeah.
go along?
Adjoining
I'm
municipalities.
hoping the hornet's nest goes along, yes.
Yeah, I mean, you can include Warriors Mark in that
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Oh,
but-
I think we should focus on the ones, the smaller ones, and the ones that have less money. Because I think we're just probably blowing smoke when it comes to the center region.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, Ferguson's not gonna want
It's
that.
got better
Ferguson's
trucks.
not
they
gonna
would be
get it, but-
wanting rid of it at this
Right.
point, so yeah.
But if they know of somebody who does, like, I don't know, who knows,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah. I
And
think it's a
then
good idea.
with the municipal bid, do you have, like, with the online auction, do you put a minimum amount in there? Or do you have a starting
Probably
bid
can.
price? How does that work? Or do
It
they just-
seems as there is that option, that you can put a reserve price on it.
Good and broke.
I haven't completely researched this because you have to make an account, and I just wasn't going to do that if there was no interest in it.
Yeah.
But it definitely seems as if you can put a reserve on it, you can start at different values, things like that. To me, it just seems like it's a very clean way of getting it advertised and sold.
Yeah.
Just kind of.
One thing's for sure, it's a liability sitting there. I mean, it's not getting any newer.
Right, I
You
mean, it's
gotta
not being used.
license it.
It needs,
Insurance,
it's gonna need some
inspection.
repairs. It's,
Right.
the more it sits, the rustier it gets, yeah, it's,
Yeah.
if it's not something that we're using, then by all means, it
Yeah.
should be.
And if you offer it to municipalities, like, set a deadline so that it's, a week or two and you hear nothing or whatever it is, like, don't wait around.
With that being said, is there any thoughts on an asking price for these municipalities? Cause I'm not sure how to go about putting a value to
I
that
think your
truck.
10,000's probably, you know, the truck's better
You
than.
said 55 to 15? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, so
55 to
5 to
15.
15 seemed like a pretty good average. Now I was just trying to go back through some of
Is the truck inspected in good working order, or?
It is not inspected. It's gonna need some repairs. I have not looked it over thoroughly, but I know for sure it needs an exhaust system. There's definitely some.
Well, there's
things
a
that this
grand
truck
right there.
needs.
Easy.
How can you get an appraisal on a truck like that?
It's a
Is-
great question. We'll have to research that.
When was
I
it?
mean, what do you base it on?
Yeah, it might be just
That was
easier to
what I
know,
was
but, yeah.
headed for.
And do it as is, or.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
When was the last time it was inspected?
Because you can let them know it's.
It
gonna
just
go
ran
up.
out in July, but it didn't move
It won't
much in
pass.
that period, so more things have flaked off of the truck at that point.
Yeah, you gotta sell it as is, otherwise it doesn't make a lot of sense to.
Right, it's not, we aren't gonna get more value out of it fixing the truck back up. At that point, we might as well find a use for it ourselves, in my opinion, but that's completely up to you guys.
I'll make a motion that we offer it for sale for $6,000 to any of the neighboring or in our sphere municipalities. If they're not interested, then we'll put it on municipal bid and see what happens to it. Yeah, we'll give them 2 weeks or 3 weeks to express interest.
Sounds good.
I'll
So
second
say,
that.
you give a 14-day window, and then after that point,
And they can come look at it and
I mean,
whatever.
if they
Absolutely,
can't buy it till a meeting happens or something like that, then
Right,
that's
right.
fine. But
It-
if they do not express an interest, then we'll put it on municipal bid.
great, yeah, if we're not getting any interest, then yes, then I think that's the best way to go about it.
Okay.
I'll
Call for the
second that.
question. All those
Did
in
it-
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. If somebody's got a better idea for bidding it out? Okay. You understand your marching orders down there?
I believe I got it, yes.
All right, thanks. Okay, anybody have any township reports from the treasurer, secretary, or roadmaster?
I have nothing to add.
Nothing additional, no.
Okay. Anybody on the board got anything to add?
Well,
I just have a question. Back on the contracts, we talked about, we didn't hear from Port Matilda, but what about Warriors Mark and Port Matilda EMS? Did we get responses? from
I
them?
heard from, not this last one, but Brian Hockenberry had said everyone from Where's Mark was okay with the first draft, and whatever we approved, they were good to go.
And
That's
it-
what I heard from Where's Mark. I don't know, I don't think the EMS has reached out since.
Because they did give us some initial comments, right? The
Right.
EMS on the first one.
I didn't hear anything from the Port Matilda Fire Company. Port Matilda EMS, Steve Kibe, had responded and just asked if this was something we were going to approve at our meeting or something that was gonna be sent to them again. So
Okay.
I let him know that it was on the agenda for this, to be considered for approval. And I didn't hear any
Anything?
negative comments or any concerns.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Sure.
authority boards and committee reports. I didn't have general forum, I didn't have executive committee or general forum last month. And the Upper Baltimore Halfmoon COG meeting was canceled on Tuesday, which we will, again, we will hold that on next Tuesday at 7 PM at the fire station.
Ron, since you're on that, when's the new COG manager take over? We're supposed to start.
You mean the Center Region? COG
Center Region
manager?
COG manager, yeah.
August 26th.
August 26th.
New executive director. In the meantime, Adam Brumbaugh is the acting executive director.
If you've not had a chance to meet the new COG director, when he comes in, he seems like a very decent person, might take the opportunity, so. If there's nothing else, how about a motion to adjourn?
I just will say, we had HR this week and finance, and so we've set the finance committee budget meetings, in September for, COG finance, so.
Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Have a second? Moved in second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned at 7:42. Thanks for coming.